Guys played pretty well. As always, there's things to clean up, but we were, the intensity was there, the urgency. They were ready to go, and takeaway was big by Elliott. That really set the tone for the game, and Anzalone getting the recovery. Thought on special teams, I thought Woods and Jackson and Badgley, really stood out. Offense, Goff had a big game. Saint talked about Shark. I thought the O-line blocked really well. And then defensively, Will Harris, I thought showed up. Jerry Jacobs, Alex Anzalone. It was pretty good, man. Certainly Elliott getting that big fumble we talked about, but as a whole, the guys played really well. It's a credit to the coaches. They had them ready to go.
Speak about Jared a little bit. It seems like from the outside looking in, his confidence has really increased as you guys are going through what you're going on for the last 5 wins. Do you think he's kind of been the glue to what you guys are doing? I know the quarterback gets a lot of heat when things are going good and bad. What did you see the difference with him at this point?
Well, look, he's every week has been really a little bit different job description, believe it or not. What we've asked him to do or what we've needed him to do. But here's the one consistent is, man, just make the right decisions, take care of the football. And he's done that. And that's 5 weeks going now. And that's a big part of the reason why we're winning. He's making very smart decisions. And we were going to put a lot on him yesterday with his arm. This was going to be a big, put it in the air. We just felt like that was the way to attack this team. And, and he did that and then some.
Can you explain maybe what's changed in that regard? Some of the turnovers early, was he pressing too much or was it?
I just think some of it was circumstance, when you find that you're behind, then I think you subconsciously are going to press it a little bit. And sometimes you take more risk. And I think that goes a little bit hand in hand with we're playing better defense too.
Is yesterday's game, was it an example of the kind of game that coaches dream of, where everything works out, all three phases work in, and you never let them in the game, they never got off the ground? Yeah, I would say that's about as close to his dream as you could get. That's ideally, you wish you could play it out that way every week, but the reality is it just doesn't work that way. But that's really what you want, man. You get a takeaway, starts the game. You don't have to punt. The only thing would have been icing on the cake is a return for a touchdown, punt return or a kickoff return, or you block a punt. But it was pretty good, certainly. Are you? This is going to probably be one of these, possibly like an inflection point in your tenure, certainly. People are going to be looking back at 2014 Jaguars game. Are you? And it's maybe the point serves as a kind of a time where people think you've turned the corner, I guess, or set the bar a little bit higher. Maybe the expectations will be higher from fans, from people like us. Are you okay with that, with the expectation being set higher after that kind of a performance?
Yeah, I don't. For me, it's just, it's kind of like what I told the team. All I care about is what we got coming up. We got 6 games. And I know if we can make enough waves and win enough games, then we'll look up and let's see what happens at the end of the season. But as far as expectations, you guys can figure that out, and the fans. But I do believe in this team, and I haven't wavered from that. I believed in them even when we were 1-6. So, we got to play good football. It's a good team coming in, but there again, I like our football team.
You believe in them, obviously, in yourself and the team. Do you get any sense of how much more belief, you've sort of created among fans and from the football, world in general, as far as you've gone through the winning streak, as you've played better football? Do you sense that more belief from outside of the building? I
don't know. Yes and no. I'll go places and people are nobody's MF'd me to my face or anything yet, but people have been nice, which I get some of that, which is awesome. But I also know, look, I don't read everything, but I told you I get head up with things, and so I know at one point I was going to get fired, and now I'm not. And so I know how all this works. And the reality is, man, we're 5-7. We got 5 to go here, and man, this is a big 5-game stretch for us. And we're getting better. And that's all. That's really all it is right now,
Dan, do you ever going back to yesterday's game, do you ever get a feeling pregame or Friday practice or whatever that your team is that ready to play?
Well, look, you always have a feeling of, you have these feelings one way or another, but it doesn't always mean, you can't always gauge it that way as much as you want to. Now, I can say this, I've been around, rarely, but I have been around where it felt very flat, and we played flat. I'm just talking about not necessarily here, but I've been part of those teams. But I've also been part of, man, the week was stellar. And then, man, we got in the game, and it was rough. He turned the ball over, and things happened. But I just know the vibe is right, the approach is right, the way the guys come in and work, the way they are in the meeting rooms, the way they lift. I mean, we're in December, and these guys they work out like they are in the spring and summer. So that's a credit to our players. We got the right guys and our coaches.
And you talked about just putting that game on the skill positions, and Jared, a little bit more fourth quarter when you guys were in control. So many teams try to run the clock out and just waste time, run the ball, keep that clock moving. You guys continued to throw the ball. Was that, I guess, a philosophy you had to kind of grow into as maybe more of a traditional, football guy that leaned on the run game, coming up in this game, to be able to finish a game out, throwing the ball and winning that way?
We knew that was the best way to attack this team. And I know if you let off the gas too soon and you start pulling back too soon, bad things can happen, There's a fine line, I know, but we were confident that was the right approach, the right game plan for this defense. And so we did that. The clock runs, and you let it roll a little bit, but to us, it was the right way to go.
With in regards to letting off the gas too soon, is that something coaches sometimes need a reminder of, or have you had to learn that lesson the hard way?
Yeah, you never had to worry about it with Coach Payton. You were not going to let off the gas. I could promise you that. But and it always worked out for us there. But I've been part as a player and a coach where you do if. You have a little bit of a lead and you start backing off too soon, and now all of a sudden you got to restart it, and now you got to, and it's hard. You lose your momentum, and so you just got to be careful. But it worked out well for us.
Todd Bush said something the other day. He was talking about some of the defensive strategy you guys have made since the bye, and he was sort of explaining simplifying things on the early downs and yet keeping things exotic, doing some of the things that you've always done on the late downs. Just explain the philosophy behind that. I assume that's right, get players to play fast early and so they're not thinking in some of those.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think that was a good way for him to say it, but it's things particularly in the back end that they can really sink their teeth into. The front as well. I mean, we're no different. They're no different. But what I'd say is we really dialed back like New England, and then, but we've slowly started to get back to some of the things we were doing. We've been able to open it up because our guys are maturing, they're growing, they're getting better, they're working better together, they're starting to understand each other. I mean, at one point, we were talking, shoot, man, this is probably a week ago, and sometimes you forget it, but at one point it was like, the only 2 guys we had that were out there on the field that started for us last year were Aleem and Alex. Everybody else was new. Either they were drafted or they were hurt or they're, and so, we're starting to get, guys have been playing together, they've been repping together. And so as they've gained confidence in what we're running, now we're opening up the playbook a little bit more, and so now the more we can do, the more those guys can play off each other. We've become a little more complex, but not too complex for us, so.
Important to go not back to square one, but to pull some things back.
You can't be a sitting duck. You just want to get your bearings back to where they gain the confidence to be able to just line up and play. But if you sit there too long, these offenses will just pick you apart. I mean, it's too easy. You can't do it. You have to be able to mix coverages and pressures and shoot your stunts, everything. And so that's what we're slowly getting back to. Nope.
Vikings, same team you guys faced week 3.
Are they the same team?
I mean, it's been quite a
Yes, because they're
distance
still
out.
winning. They're still winning. So I would say it's a better version of what they were because they've continued to win. This is a winning team. They find ways to win. That's what they do. And those are the hard teams, you know, because they've done it against multiple opponents, different ways. Special teams, offense, defense, they're finding ways to win.
Teams, I mean, the division games, it seems like you guys give a little extra boost in these games. Let's talk about the mindset going into these division games.
Well, I would say this, man, all hands on deck this week, man. Our fans got to show up, which I know they will. This is going to be electric, all right? It is big. This is big. It's big for our players. It's big for us. Shoot, it's a big game for them. But, man, this is – look, they're all special, but this is one of those games. This is why you're into coaching. This is why you're into playing. This is why you love the game of football. It's going to be awesome.
Asking you kind of when the losses were piling up there early in the season, whether the message had to change to get home. I'm curious when you're having success the way you are, wins in 4 or 5. Is there anything you have to do with your messaging just to kind of make sure that it's getting home the same way through this to keep the energy up?
No, same message. I didn't change when we were losing. I'm not changing now that we're winning. I mean, you just stay the same, consistent. Now, there may be a way that I speak or the approach or something I put up so that I don't become monotone, but no, you stay consistent. I believe in that. Best coaches I've been around are very consistent. Doesn't matter what's going on around them. They're the same guy.
Can I squeeze one last one? Just Romeo yesterday, was that a personnel decision, or was he not quite ready in what sort of role?
We just wanted to give him just a little bit more time. He's close. But yeah, we wanted to see how he was. He had a pretty good load last week. Let him wake up Sunday morning. How did he feel? All that. And now here we go. Let's see where he's at Wednesday.